Determine the interval or intervals of concavity for the following function. F of x is equal to negative 1/4 x to the fourth plus 2x to the third plus 5x minus 7. Well, in order to determine the intervals of concavity, we have to figure out what our second derivative is. So let's start off by figuring out the first derivative, f prime of x. And that's going to be equal to negative x to the third plus 6x squared plus 5. And we use the power rule with every single one of those terms. And the derivative of negative 7 is 0. So we don't have to rewrite it. All right, now let's find the second derivative, f double prime of x. That's going to be negative 3x squared plus 12x. And then the derivative of 5 is 0, so we don't have to write that. Now if we set f double prime of x, or our second derivative, equal to 0, we will find our critical values. So 0 is equal to, we can also factor out a negative 3x, so negative 3x, and we will be left with x minus 4. So therefore x can be 0 or x can be 4. Now let's put these on our second derivative sign chart. So we have 0 and 4, and we'll select the values of negative 1, 1, and 5 as our test points. All right, when we substitute negative 1 into our second derivative, and we can do that in factored form, we would get negative 3 times negative 1, which is positive 3. And here we would get negative 1 minus 4, which is negative 5. So we would have a positive times a negative, which is a negative. Next, if we substitute 1 in here, we would get negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. That's a positive. And then if we substitute 5 in there, we'll get negative 15 times positive 1, which is negative 15, which is a negative. All right, so therefore, from the interval of negative infinity to 0 in union with 4 to infinity, we are concave down. We are concave down. So let's see, from concave down from negative infinity to 0, that's Roman numeral 5. And from 4 to infinity, we are also concave down. And then we are concave up from 0 to 4. Concave up on the interval 0 to 4. All right, so we have 3, 5, and 8, which is answer choice B.